the teachers and how much they cared, and how much they wanted to invest in your education, your learning, and your future, and creating this welcoming community in order to do that, where you felt comfortable to kind of pursue those interests and challenge yourself.
I spoke with Tesha, who graduated from Toronto District Christian High School in 2017. She credits TD Christian with helping her fall in love with learning and for allowing her to explore diverse areas of study during her time at the school. Its strong sense of community is built from its values and faith as a Christian school. Tesha is now thrilled to be studying towards a double degree in mathematics and in business administration. Take a look. How do you think, or do you think, your high school influenced your choice of study and area of study, or one of the two?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think one thing that I loved when I was at TD Christian was just the ability to explore so many different areas and gain exposure there. I think I took a variety of courses in photography and art and drama, different math and science subjects as well. And I think it exposed me to so many different areas that it allowed me to really dive into what I loved and what aligned with my strengths. For example, one of the courses I took in grade 9 and 10 was a course specifically outlined towards the University of Waterloo math competitions. And that was something that I absolutely loved, and I really fell in love with the subject. So that was something that inspired me to go that route. And then I also was able to go on a international business trip in grade 10 or 11. And that was across Europe. And I just really loved that experience and being in that business world. And so that also drew me towards the business portion of my program. And so it ended up being really perfectly aligned with what I fell in love with subject-wise in high school, and really inspired me to go in that direction.
Nice, that's amazing. And if you were to create a resume listing all of your experiences and accomplishments at your high school, what would that look like? Just to give me a little sense of everything you were involved with at the school.
So I think each year I was involved in a few different clubs and volunteering opportunities, but specifically in grade 12, I was the founder of a female fitness association at the high school. So that was a really great opportunity for me, where I fell in love with fitness, and I ended up becoming a fitness instructor and gaining my certification in university. So that was kind of a step in that direction. I was also involved in choir, jazz band, concert band. I coordinated the school assemblies, which was an amazing opportunity. I got to meet so many wonderful people and work with so many students and teachers, as well as I was volunteering at different organizations. I worked a part-time job, and I had different side projects in videography and photography. And I was also studying for the math competitions at that time for the University of Waterloo. So that was kind of keeping me busy during my grade 12 year. And I had other various trips and clubs that I was able to be a part of in my previous years as well.
Great. So yeah, sounds like a lot for sure. What would you say is your proudest memory from the school?
In grade 10, I was a part of the French block, which is kind of a specialized course at TD, where we actually had the opportunity to live in Quebec with a partner high school for a week. So I was living with a student there during that time. And it was an amazing experience because my French level was not great. It was definitely not my best subject. And the student who I was living with, her English also wasn't extremely developed, but it was amazing to make a connection with someone, even if we didn't have that the same first language. And it gave me an appreciation for languages. And even though I didn't go into that area academically or career-wise, I think that was something that really opened my eyes to being able to connect with people, even if you don't relate on all levels. So that was something that really stood out for me in my high school experience that I was very, very thankful for.
Yeah, that's great. Sounds like a really great experience. And
thinking back to maybe before you entered the school in grade 9, um, how did you and your family decide to go to TD Christian?
So I went to a Christian grade school. So that in eighth grade, that's where I was, and so many of the students who had left that grade school went to TD Christian. And so a large part of why I wanted to go was just the amazing things that I had heard about the community there, and especially the teachers, of just how much they really cared for the students and the connections that you made, and all the really interesting opportunities of different courses and learning um, strategies. And so that was something that really brought me towards it. And then I also was able to go to the open house, meet some of the teachers there. And I think that connection, all the reviews of other people's experience that I had heard really shone through, of meeting those teachers. And so I was really enthusiastic about going to TD, and that was really what drove me towards that. And I also was, my parents and I were hoping for that Christian education, so it aligned with the educational experience that I wanted out of my 4 years of high school.
Hmm. And so we talked a little bit about your favorite memory or your proudest memory. I'm curious, what did you appreciate most about the school? Maybe specific, if there's any specifics, or even just more generally, what did you appreciate the most?
Yeah, many things. One, just again reiterating, I love the teachers. I think even now, I visited before the pandemic. I was able to visit the high school again, and it was just amazing to see um, how much that those connections that I had with those teachers, and how much that they really cared about my education, that was still evident even after not being at the school for 3.5 years. And it was something I really appreciated, that I knew that they cared about me, they cared about my future. And so that was probably number one. I also just appreciated all the unique learning opportunities, whether that be different project days, or service trips, or unique courses. And so it really forced me to be challenged in an academic way, but also knowing that I had the support of my teachers. So that was huge. And then again, all through in the light of God's word, was that education really powerful for me in my experience.
Hmm. And can you talk a little bit more about the Christian experience at the school? I'm curious, what your take on that. You said you went to Christian grade school as well. So, how do you think that influenced your experience at the school?
Yeah, I think it was a really positive experience. It was great because it felt like a community and a place of having conversations of what our faith with God was, and being able to have teachers that their purpose and passion was teaching in the light of God's word. And I think that was really evident. I think there was so many opportunities to learn about that, and it allowed me to really dive into biblical teachings, and to have that community to grow in my personal faith. And as I went into university, which was obviously a very different perspective and environment, it was something that really solidified my faith, and allowed me to use those teachings, not only from an academic standpoint, but just from a life understanding. And I think that's something that will always stay with me, even past university.
Hmm. And from your understanding, what most differentiates the school from maybe other Christian schools, or maybe if not, just other private schools in general?
Yeah, so I think in general, from other private schools, teaching the light of God's word is a huge differentiator. But also, moving forward from that is, again, just being around teachers that you know that their passion and purpose is to um, invest and care about you and your future, and making sure that they're giving you those opportunities, and also in just a welcoming environment. I remember being in high school, and I would have different interests, or areas I wanted to learn more about, and I just felt super comfortable to collaborate with my teachers and my fellow students on pursuing those and asking interesting questions and taking on projects that may kind of challenge my thinking or my skills and strengths. And so I really appreciate that. I think that was something that really helped me going forward post high school and into university.
Mm-hmm. And I have a bit of a creative question now. If the school were to become personified, so if you can imagine the school as an actual person, what personality traits would the school have?
Because of the closely knit community and the smaller size, it ended up being personified as a close friend, someone that you can come to learn and be challenged, but also someone that you knew you could be comfortable with, someone that also, again, presents those Christian values while also encouraging learning in all different things. So exploring new questions, new ideas, and someone who is very creative in how they approach those. I think that would be my best way to describe it, but it's a difficult question.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's great. And what do you think students would find most surprising about the school? So if you're to think of students who are, considering the school, or a family considering the school, what would they be surprised about when they actually enrolled in the school and actually, showed up on day one?
I think they would be really surprised on some of the ways in which you are learning or you are graded. So, for example, I think one thing that was really surprising for me, I was so used to always doing tests, and that was always how I was being graded. And then going into high school, an example I think I mentioned earlier was project days. So you get the full day off of school, and it's fully dedicated to a project of one of the courses you're taking. So, for example, I had a project day for math, which traditionally I felt was always very test-based. And even university now, there's many exams, and obviously that was integrated into that as well. But you would have, for example, a project day for math. And I created a whole project just on pi. And I thought it was so interesting. And it was just an opportunity for me to explore a topic and really dive in. And even though it seemed untraditional in the sense of, okay, I have a full day to really invest in something, and there was a lot of flexibility in how I approach that project, it really reflected how now when I'm working my full-time jobs, whether that be a co-op or an internship, that is more reflective of how I work in real life. And so it really helped me in that sense. And I think that was something that I didn't expect. And then just a lot of the courses. I think if you would have asked me in 8th grade what type of courses I would have been taking, I would have kind of said probably all science courses. And then I ended up taking all these other courses in different subjects. And it expanded my learning and allowed me to kind of develop into other areas, which ended up helping me post high school. So for example, I mentioned videography. We have access to so much equipment and projects, and we have the high school TV show, which I was a part of. And even though that was unrelated to what I'm doing now, it really assisted me for projects where I would be able to kind of add that in as a different angle that we could creatively apply, whether it be coming up with a business model, and then, okay, how can we put this into a video format and kind of do something different? So I think that's something that surprised me, of just expanding your learning in different ways and in new aspects, and then how that ended up allowing me to apply that post high school as well.
Amazing. Do you think there's a typical student at the school?
I would say no. I think that I met really wonderful people, and one thing I loved was that people were interested in different areas, had different passions, and that everyone wasn't really the same. So you ended up being able to meet really wonderful people, even if they were very different than you, and that was something that I loved about the school.
Mm-hmm. And how do you think the school shaped who you are today as a person, not only as a student, but as a person?
Uh, a huge factor is my faith, my Christianity. I think that's something that, again, was solidified through my high school degree, and it was really great to be able to dive deeper into biblical teachings, but then also have that aspect in subjects that you wouldn't typically see a reflection in faith. So even taking courses in art or courses in French, okay, how do we reflect this back onto our spirituality? So I think that was a huge change for me as a person, and not only in academics. And then I think just my appreciation for all the different subjects, and it allowed me to come out of my comfort zone, but also be able to explore different areas of myself and what my interests were. And so that allowed me as a person to kind of push those boundaries and have developed that work ethic and be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And that was really important for me, and something I was happy that I developed through my 4 years in high school.
Mm-hmm. And now I'm sure you can agree that no school is absolutely perfect. And so I'm just wondering if you think there's anything that the school can improve on, or if there's something that you felt was missing, during your time there.
I think one thing, and I wouldn't necessarily say that this was a weakness in a sense. I think it was definitely a strength in some ways, but it was a smaller school, and so because of that, there's lots of great things and pros to that. But I think at the end of my high school degree, it was something that I really wanted. Of okay, now I want to kind of be in a larger environment so I can meet new people every day, versus when I was at TD. You knew everyone at the school, everyone knew you. So I love that community, but I also knew it was something that I wanted to change once I graduated. And so now I go to 2 universities, so I'm really thankful that I get to meet new people every day, and I really love the larger environment. And so that was something that I knew I personally wanted to be exposed to post high school.
Right, right. And how are the smaller class sizes beneficial to you going into university? What are some of the pros of that?
Going into university, I think, well, one, I was just very thankful for my teachers and how they were really willing to allow me to pursue different projects or interests, or willing to answer my questions. And I think from that, it ended up allowing me to develop the comfort of putting myself in an uncomfortable situation and being able to speak up. And that benefited me when I went into university, where suddenly my class sizes went from 20 students to 300 students. And so it allowed me to have the comfort of, even after a lecture, going up to the teacher and asking questions and making those connections and taking the initiative. So I think that helped me because of my high school experience of being in that place.
Mm-hmm. And how has your perspective on the school changed since graduating, now that there's been a few years separation from the school? Have you come to appreciate certain things about the school a bit more? Have you realized certain things? Just how has it changed over the years?
Yeah, I think one, I didn't realize how unique my high school experience was. I remember having conversations with my friends in university and talking about my different teachers or projects I have. I still have a lot of the projects that I have from high school, and I still talk about them and I'm excited about them or laugh at them because I realize what I did wrong or whatnot. And so I think I realized how unique it was, and that was something that I gained appreciation for. Even when I went to visit my high school, and I was able to reconnect with all the teachers that had really made an impact in my life, and that they were still very knowledgeable of what was going on. We were really invested in where I was now, post-graduation. And I realized that a lot of my friends couldn't relate to that and didn't make those connections with their teachers, or weren't able to take on unique projects in high school. And so I think that was something that I ended up appreciating more, because I realized that it was a little bit more unique than kind of the typical high school experience.
What 3 reasons would you give to a family to recommend the school, basically? Or would you recommend the school?
Yeah, so I would definitely recommend the school. I think the 3 reasons, and I know I'm going to sound like a broken record, but I do truly believe that these are 3 great strengths of coming to TD Christian, 3 things that I really loved from my experience. But one was the teachers and how much they cared, and how much they wanted to invest in your education, your learning, and your future, and creating this welcoming community in order to do that, where you felt comfortable to kind of pursue those interests and challenge yourself. 2, I would say the unique opportunities in learning, whether it be a course. We have so many. I know we have environmental block, or there's a block specifically for internships, or the French history block that I took, which was really awesome. And so very unique ways to learn, and access to a lot of different resources, whether it be technology resources, or being able to be exposed in different areas. And then lastly, of course, is again the Christian education. I think it really expanded my values and beliefs, and it assisted me in who I am now, and it's something that I live by, and I was really appreciative of having that community and those role models in order to develop my faith.
If you were giving a tour to a family of the school, what's the first thing that you would show them?
Oh man, I'm a little biased, but I would probably show them one of the math or science classrooms, just because there's all the projects usually across the walls, and then you also have all the of ceilings. I don't know if they're still all like this after the few years that I've left, but they were just filled with all these different kind of cool equations and different kind of formulas and whatnot. And so I think I would show them one of those classrooms, because those were the classrooms where I fell in love with math. And it just, I remember walking in and just being really excited about what I was surrounded by. So that might be my first stop, or maybe the art room. I think that's always a really fun place to go.
And I have one more question for you, and that is, what advice would you give to a newly enrolled student?
Ooh, good question. My advice would be take advantage of all the opportunities, whether that means getting involved in a club that you didn't know if you would be interested in, or trying out for a sports team, or taking a course that you don't think you might have interest in long term, but you really want to challenge yourself. So I would say just expand your experiences and learning, take advantage of that, and also just connect with others, and always focus on that learning aspect, which every teacher will tell you anyway, but I would just say focus on how you can learn and challenge yourself, because I think that was what I really loved, of just kind of falling in love with learning and all the different ways that I was able to do that in my 4 years in high school.